Hey guys, Scott here with a new What Is Style and Beer Dissection today that we're going to be doing. So what we're going to be talking about today for the What Is Style is Munich Helles. And the Beer Dissection is going to be from the famous Spaten Brewery, their premium lager, which is they were the originators of Munich Helles, which I'm going to get to in a second. Another commercial example would be Hofbrauhaus makes a Münchner Gold. Spaten Original is also a Munich Helles. And you're going to see, if you are a frequent drinker of Bud, Miller, anything, even Canadian lagers like Molson, Labatt's, you actually may particularly like this style because there's going to be some similarities to it. So the first thing I want to talk about is some terminology. Helles means light. Okay, so Munich Helles, of course, it came from Munich, means light. You may also see Munich Dunkel, all right, which means Dunkel means dark in the store. So, but believe it or not, they are very similar beers. I'm not going to go into the differences necessarily between Munich Dunkel and Munich Helles, other than one's being lighter and one's darker. But you may actually like both styles of beer from there. So now this beer began in 1894. Spaten Brewery in Munich, started the style. They were really trying to compete with the other golden straw lagers that were being brewed in Germany, specifically German Pilsner. Okay, now German Pilsner was an offshoot of Czech Premium Pale Lager from Czech Republic, obviously, the current day Czech Republic in Prague. But you're going to notice with German Pilsner, the IBU units are like 22 to 40 international bitterness units. A Munich Helles is going to be 16 to 22. So you're going to see the Munich Helles is going to be a little less hop character and bitterness, but it's going to have enough that spicy floral herbal aroma as well as flavor that you do get in a lot of the Munich Helles beers or other lager beers in Germany. Now, this beer in Munich Helles is actually the most common beer drank in Bavaria. All right, second would be Weiss beer. But this beer you're going to see a lot. And even though we've just came out of Oktoberfest in Munich and those beers, this beer is also a lager beer, but it's going to be a little bit different than that. And I'm not going to go down that wormhole too much. Now, if I hadn't said already, the ABV percentage, if you go by the Beer Judge Certification Program for Munich Helles, is about 4.7 to 5.4. I think I have it written down. 4.7 to 5.4. I gave the IBU unit 16 to 22. It used to be called the showcase for Pilsner malt, Munich Helles, because you're definitely going to get a sweeter, more pronounced Pilsner note, doughy white bread, malt profile. And you are going to get some hops in there, typically German noble hops, most likely Hallertau or Mittelfrüh. Tettnings used sometimes in this style of beer. And but again, that gives you that spicy herbal floral. Some people may even think of it like slightly minty, peppery, things like that. Now, remember, the German Pilsner is going to have a little bit more bias towards your hops. It's going to usually be a little bit crisper type of beer, the German Pilsner, say like a Warsteiner, and you name your other Pilsners that are out there that are true German Pilsners. They're not going to be as biased towards the malt. Munich Helles is going to be not as bitter. It's going to have a little sweet malt profile, be balanced that way. I used to have to study it blind when I was getting ready for the tasting portion. I'm still getting ready for the tasting portion, but for the Cicerone. But it is a kind of a sweeter malt profile, not as biased towards the bitterness of the hops as well as the German noble hops that you see all the time. And was there anything else I wanted to cover on the history? Pretty much that's it. So again, most common beer, 1894 Spaten. Like I said, Spaten Original is also a Munich Helles. And Hackerschor Münchner Gold is another one. But again, if you are a Bud, Miller drinker, even International Pale Lager drinker, you would like this style of beer. And again, it will be, a lager, so it's going to be a little bit, crisper, not as many esters or phenols like some ales will carry. So Other than that, I think that's all I really wanted to cover, a little bit on the history, as well as, some specs on this particular beer. But that's it. So let's take a look at this. I don't really have anything special glass-wise. I got my typical tulip pint, but you can even use a shaker pint for this style of beer. But I just think, like, the beers are just showcased a little bit better on something that has a little bit more of a stem and wide base, and then narrows up to the end, so you can really perceive a lot of the aromatics from there. So anyway, let's crack this bad boy open. So again, the beer dissection here, like I said, is the preeminent 1894 Spaten Brewery. Okay, now you notice I have a green bottle here. I went into a whole video about skunkiness, and this doesn't protect it from the light very much. But if you buy this, try to buy it. You can buy a 6-pack, no problem. As long as they've kept it protected, you're not going to get the skunkiness. If you're going to buy it, I sometimes tell people just buy it in the 12-pack cardboard. Just buy 12 and get the cardboard box on there, and you'll protect it. So I'm not too worried about the green bottle too much, like you would get clear bottles like with Corona or even your St. Pauli Girl or things like that. So you don't get that light struck effect, which is the 3-MBT compound with the hop interaction. So prefer it not in the green bottle, but I know this one was packaged in the cardboard box, so I'm not expecting to be getting any type of skunkiness or light struck effect on it. All right, so let's pour this out. So what are we expecting? Some of you already probably know, because this beer's been around for quite a while, but why I sometimes introduce these beers or kind of revisit them is because I have a lot of people who like strictly, Labatt's, Molson, Budweiser, Miller, and they don't realize that there's the other German styles that, they don't have to, be leaping to strong IPAs or porters or stouts, but there's beers very similar to that American lager, American light lager, that is a standard German variety or style of beer that they probably would enjoy. They don't even realize it. So that's why I try to cover them. So I didn't pour it really aggressively. So I would probably get a little bit more head than this, especially probably when I get my picture up there later over my shoulder, I may have it. But there was, believe it or not, about a half-inch of white head. So we don't really have it. It's kind of fleeting here a little bit on camera. But you can see we have that dark straw, light gold color, perfectly clear, and it should be for the style of beer. And but again, you would confuse it with an international pale lager or even American lagers that you see out there. But again, very pretty, and that's kind of what their intent was back then. They wanted their crystal clear pale beer so it looks good in the glass, because they used to use I'm just gonna say pottery, but it was like ceramic or earthenware type of glasses. So they really couldn't appreciate the color of beer. So they're using this. So again, Munich Helles light beer, so you can actually see that it's light, versus the Munich Dunkel, which you see in the store. That's going to be dark. The Dunkel is going to look more like amber copper color. All right. So let's take a sniff of the aroma. Yeah. So right away, you're in Germany, because if you've homebrewed and you smell the hops of the Hallertau Mittelfrüh, Tettning, Spalt, or any type of German noble hop, you're going to get that floral, herbal component to it. And even like, I know you don't perceive spiciness on the nose, but you almost get that nice, fresh hop kind of, pungency. But you're not going to get grapefruit here. You're not going to get orange juice. You're not going to get tropical fruit or mango. That's not what you'd want in this style anyway. All right. The malt is pretty neutral, which you would get like mostly, white bread, maybe water cracker, doughy, pizza dough kind of aroma. Okay, on the malt. Okay, so again, pretty nice looking beer, pretty clear. All right, so cheers, or Prost, I should say. Yeah. Highly carbonated, which you'd expect. One thing I didn't mention, this beer should be kind of at medium bodied to medium low kind of bodied. Should be very crisp. It's not going to be as crisp maybe as a German Pilsner would be. should be no diacetyl in it, like sometimes Czech Premium Pale Lager, like Pilsner Urquell will have in it. So you should not get that. But I get that same herbal, floral, earthy kind of component on the taste buds here, as well as that neutral malt. Bready, no alcoholic warmth. This one in particular, I'm not going to go crazy looking at it. I said 4.7 to 5.4 is the standard for the style. I'm expecting this one 5.2. So, you're sitting right there in Munich Helles. You're not looking for, I know in the United States, I wouldn't be surprised if at any of your craft breweries, it's not, 5.2, it's sitting at like 6, 7. We always seem to go a little bit overboard in the United States with alcoholic strength as well as hop additions. Again, what I'm getting to is the bitterness is kind of low to moderate. And that's what you expect at 16 to 22 IBUs. Like I said, if you're getting a German Pilsner, and I've done these blind, I've had this with a German Pilsner, you'll get a little bit more of that puckering on your tongue from the Pilsner when you wait about 20, 30 seconds. But when you know the difference between the two. So you're someone who, wants it more biased towards malt, I would go with a Munich Helles, like malt sweetness, and this is using exclusively Pilsner malt. Dunkel's, like I said, they use some Munich malt, Vienna malt, make it a little bit darker. But this is definitely more biased towards the malt than the hops, okay? And when you do get a German Pilsner, you'll get a little bit more crisper, sensation with the hops and a little bit more bitterness on the tongue with there. And again, it's usually a little more floral with it also. Just thought maybe there was one other thing I forgot in the history that I wanted to discuss on this video. But this is a patio crusher, quaffable, good, low enough alcoholic strength. It's got that crispness. It really is kind of like a thirst quencher, even though I would recommend water over beer for that. It's just, it's got that nice sweet malt to it. This one I'm glad, even though it's a green bottle, I'm not getting any of that 3-MBT methylbutyl, which is creates the skunkiness. And I don't get it on the nose either, so that's great. I prefer the Weihenstephaner Original, which is the similar style. Same style, I should say, just a different brand, obviously. But this, even on the aftertaste, you just kind of left a little bit of that bready, slight herbal character, but then it kind of fleets away. It's not a very strong aftertaste. There's no like filmy thing. It's pretty crisp, medium bodied, but pretty well attenuated beer. So you're not getting any residual sweetness to this. And again, pretty light bodied. Many of you probably have had this before. You may not have thought about it while you were drinking it, but this is kind of what you get with a typical Munich Helles. So anyway, guys, with this beer, for the style, I have to give it a good, A. It is one of the epitomes of the style in the Beer Judge certification program. So as long as it's not skunky, which this one is not, or light struck, which same thing, you got to go pretty high with it. Now look, and that's for overall drinkability, enjoyability. I mean, sometimes I really love easy drinking Munich Helles, German Pilsners, things like that. Again, remember, this is a lager, all right? So you're not going to get some of those sometimes estery compounds from ales and things like that you would get with ale yeast. But compared to beers in general, like, listen, I'm not going to say this is my favorite beer in the world, but for this style, I would recommend it. So anyway, guys, today was a little bit of a what is style about Munich Helles. I went through some of the numbers. 1894, Spaten Brewery, to compete with the German Pilsners of Germany of the time. Lower in bitterness and hop component than a German Pilsner, but more than an international pale lager and your American beers. I definitely would recommend, like if you are, again, if you are a Budweiser Miller drinker and you want to broaden your horizons a little bit, try a Munich Helles to start with. Of course, German Pilsner too, but we're talking about Munich Helles today. But again, maybe we talked about Helles being light, but of course, Munich Dunkel. Try the dark version of it. You'll see Munich Dunkel out there, dark, using more Munich malt. So again, I'm not going to do that whole comparison between the Dunkel and the Helles, but you get the idea. So anyway, guys, today's What Is Style was Munich Helles, and the beer dissection was Spaten's from 1894, their version of Munich Helles. Okay, so until the next beer video, or any video in general from me, have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.